Well, thank you, Lillian, for jumping on today. It's been a pleasure kind of getting to know you over the last few months, just with the foundation work and everything. And I just thought it was a good excuse for us to touch base and kind of talk more about the foundation, because I don't think that people in the community quite understand how the market works, all the different parts that are involved with it, and then you all wonderful people that are kind of behind it, making it work basically, and have so wanted to kind of bring to light, I guess, what you guys have been working on, and again how the foundation does work, and so kind of let you take it from here.
That sounds great. So it's such a pleasure to spend time with you, Ashley, and with all of the rest of you today in conversation about our beloved Pike Place Market, and thank you all for taking some time to be here. So I will share a little bit today about the market as a whole, what the foundation does, and how we're all recovering from the last year, and how you can get involved. So like everyone else on the planet, the last 18 months have been probably the most challenging years for the market that we've faced in decades. But the market is absolutely coming back to life, and it's bustling out there today, and the power of community is really the reason, in my opinion, that we've been able to thrive through this time. The market is so much more than incredible fish, flowers, and produce. The real magic of this market is the mission. The market charter, written 50 years ago, states that we will always be a place where farmers can sell directly to a customer, a place where one-of-a-kind small businesses can thrive, and where we will care about our low-income neighbors and residents. We live this mission really every day. The market is governed and operated by the Pike Place Market Preservation and Development Authority. They focus on all of the operational and commercial sides of the market that you see. They have roughly 100 employees that operates the parking, the security, leasing, artists, farmers, 450 residents, and all of the logistics that come with that. The Pike Place Market Foundation is an independent 501c3 sister organization to the PDA that works on that third element of the charter, which is nurturing the community and engaging the public to invest in and support the market. So for the last almost 40 years, we've contributed to a neighborhood model that allows a diverse community to live and thrive here within the market. We do this by focusing on and measuring our impacts against a model for a healthy community, which we formally adopted in 2017. And it's based on some well-known research called the social determinants of health, which recognizes that community health and well-being is linked not only to the care you receive at a doctor, but also to economic stability, to education, access to nutritious foods, a safe neighborhood, and a supportive community environment. So we use this model and we work to sustain and operate a network of programs and services that serve our neighbors through both grant making and what we call community impact funding. So for on the grant making side, we have 5 legacy partners who are long-standing service providers: a food bank, a senior center, clinic, preschool, and an assisted living facility. And since the early 80s, the Market Foundation has dedicated consistent, unrestricted funding to allow those partners to sustain their operations year over year and improve their service to the market community. And we're not only a major funder to those programs, but we also collaborate to improve their services and identify critical connections or gaps for the whole community. On the other side, the Community Impact Fund allows us to remain community-centric and really improve access for all to the essential services and resources that people need. So the Market Commons is the center, our little neighborhood center down on Western Avenue, that is the home to an array of programs, including all kinds of food access, resource navigation, and a community safety net. And that Commons played a gigantic role in keeping the community together over the last few months. Yeah. So the last 18 months, as a 114-year-old place, the market has weathered many storms, but just like everyone else on the planet, it has been challenged and impacted in multiple ways by both the pandemic and the economic crisis that persists. So looking back over the last few months since March 2020, my reflection is that, once again, a small group of really dedicated people working in community made a huge difference.
Yep.
And specifically what we learned, people are generous.
Yeah.
People care about the market and they really wanted to see it thrive. Secondly, it took a really special genius to be a small business owner. And I'm inspired every day by their creativity and their kind of unwavering spirit to make it happen. Flexibility. We as humans have lived through a very strange time. Everyone has been challenged, but everybody's learning and no one has the answers and the chaos that comes from that. But community is everything. We've really held together to acknowledge and share humanity has been kind of unprecedented and really lovely for those of us who love being in community.
Yeah. I think I kind of picked up on that, all throughout the years, everything to me seemed to kind of revolve around the market in terms of like, or I guess I've always had kind of a passion for the market, whether that's, shopping there seasonally for different things, but then also actually, weekly, I go down there every week and get my, produce and meats and all that sort of thing too. So, when the lockdown happened, it's almost like I became a little bit more of not an advocate for the market, but I just became more like involved with, what was going on down there, because you kind of strip out, let's say, the tourism aspect, and you're really just dealing with the locals, right? And
Yeah.
you had only one or two stands that were open at that time, and it was kind of a scary time for everyone because everything was shut down, and really the market, those few vendors were the ones that were, selling the produce to everyone in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it kind of created this community-like feel of, we're all in together, we're all supporting everyone, but then it also, from an outsider looking in, made me want to get more involved with, the market just in general, because it kind of peels back the layers and you kind of see the people that are actually, this is their business. They are small. It is a small business environment, and you do want to support that in your community.
Yeah, well, it is true. I mean, at our core, we are a coalition of small businesses, and not just small businesses, micro businesses.
Yep.
And we, as a foundation, realize, that is a critical part of our community. And even if you're labeled a business owner, you still have a family. You still are going through an amazingly hard time.
Yep.
And so that's really why we, as a foundation, took the model that we've had and really launched the small business recovery, because it allowed us to have a completely different impact. And in addition to this recovery, it kind of started for us with launching the Power of Pike Place as a recovery campaign. We had no idea it would be as successful as it was. We raised $4.2 million, which we were then able to turn around and deploy really quickly. And so in addition to making the largest investment to those 5 families that we've ever made, we granted $1 million on that lane. We were able to make sure the residents were fed with delivery to their doors. They had safety equipment. We had resource navigation. So many of the small business people in the workforce had never been a part of a benefit structure, and really guiding them through that. We had over 10,000 interactions on the phone with people, and that was just really like, people needed somebody to talk to and somebody to guide them through this really unprecedented life change.
Yeah.
So we procured and delivered tons of hygiene, tons of personal safety. We used all of our food banks. Everybody was kind of working together to make sure people had what they need. And then when we did settle down and work on what the small businesses needed, we were able to invest almost $575,000 into about 119 businesses that really allowed them to think through what they needed, ask for it, and have some direct assistance. And we did that in complement with the PDA's work to do some rent deferral. And then we kind of worked together with peer consulting, helping people really figure out how to move through this. And so it really was very high touch, we knew we needed to circle the wagons and really just take care of the market businesses. And even though they were out getting whatever they could get from the PPP loans or whatever, it really came down to how do we navigate this with a strong, very personalized partnership. So, we learned it was more than just the resource, all the pieces of resources they pulled together, but that community support, training, the peer education was huge, because a lot of them had maybe a piece of e-commerce, but they really never played in that arena, and it became a huge shift in how they conduct business. And to have a peer that they sell with maybe on the next table help them figure it out. A lot of them are reporting now, a few months later, that now their sales are crazy because they're getting both e-commerce and in-market, and that's really the long-term kind of what we're excited about, is that they really took a huge change in their actual business model. And then kind of wrapping our arms around how do we create the PR and the buzz for that. And we created a charitable marketplace that allowed us to pull together and really involve people locally. And we started talking like nonstop about shopping intentionally, which we're still talking about, because even though it's bustling out there, especially our restaurants and food purveyors, they're really still struggling. The numbers are not where they were, even though some of them, are getting really great returns now. And there's been so many fabulous stories about people really having to think creatively, getting a piece of equipment, and then the business is just flying. So there's been silver linings all over the place, but we're really still encouraging people to come on down. We are the bright spot. We love what's going on, and we just really encourage people. It feels really good, and so we love that people are coming to the market. They're experiencing joy and making each other happy.
Yeah, well, it's been exciting to see. And I think it was probably about 3 weeks ago that I was down there, and it was a Saturday or Friday afternoon, Saturday. And it was just so busy. And it was just like, I was just smiling because it's nice to see that everything's kind of opening up. More people are coming to Seattle and the tourism factor. But there's optimism in the air.
Yeah. So a little bit about what's to come. We're ready to go there. This year is a very special milestone in market history. 50 years ago, 1971, was when a small group of dedicated people really worked hard over almost a decade to make sure that the market did not get lost to the wrecking ball. And so this movement was led by the Friends of the Market, and it was a passage of a citizens initiative that not only saved this market, but also saved this charter that really says we will always be for low-income people, we will always be for purveyors, and all of that stuff that's in the charter was really because of this very intentionally written charter 50 years ago. So starting in September, we're really excited about rolling out a series of events that will let people who are new to Seattle know this, and people that haven't heard the story before learn it. We're going to have a documentary that we'll be showing on Como TV in mid-October, and then we're having a series of in-market events, especially October 23rd, which will be a fall festival, which it will be really, really an amazing opportunity to tell the story of why that intentionally written charter has really played out today, and what you see and how important it is. We also have a ton of volunteer opportunities, including some urgent needs about the Sunset Supper on August 20th. We have a lot of in-person opportunities coming back within each of the social service agencies I shared. They all need board members and people that are interested in encouraging support of what we're doing down here. And there's just a lot to be accomplished in a lot of different ways in the market. And we're happy to share all the ways to do that. Of course, donation is fun. We take all kinds of, we appreciate it all. We encourage people to shop intentionally. And we're really also very focused on involving people in the recovery of downtown in whatever way that's meaningful to them. If it's nothing more than coming down to the market and supporting our recovery, that's fabulous, but also encouraging people to come down. I think there's a lot of fear that remains.
Yeah.
And we're just really working on spreading that wide, that the health of the market depends on the healthy downtown, and we really need to work together on that.
Yep. That's a very good point.
Yeah.
As far as the volunteer opportunities, what is one of the major sectors or divisions that you guys are focusing on?
Within our 5 families, or within what?
So within just the basic needs of the market, if there's someone was going to say, hey, I'd like to volunteer, how can I best get involved? And maybe
Sure.
it's actually a dedication of time, probably.
Yeah. Well, I believe the food bank is getting ready to bring people back. That's a very simple and understandable thing for people to do. And they can take on a weekly, monthly, group activity as well. They did not take people for a long time, but I think they're getting ready to have groups come back in. We've done a ton of involvement, like if you are in a downtown building, if you're in a downtown business, of getting your coworkers and residential and all those people to understand what the market is and to get involved in. We've done a lot of drives. We're getting ready to do a holiday season of drives. Encouraging people to come down is really, really a low barrier way to volunteer. I mean, we have a strong group of ambassadors here, both on the residential side and on the business side, where really all we're asking you to do is be a champion in your space for the market, and we'll send you all kinds of information and a way to get involved. That's a super simple one. But if you really have interest in the place, the PDA has some ways to volunteer more long-term on boards and committees. And every single one of those social services that I mentioned, they do have a board of directors. They do have committee structures. The Senior Center does an amazing event, Figgy Pudding, every holiday season, which takes a lot of volunteer support, and singers. So if you want to come sing. So there's some fun ways, and there's some really policy-driven ways to get involved. And so we just center people on our website and then help deploy them to whatever's needed right now.
Thanks. Yeah, that's great. It's nice to have the different options. And I actually didn't even know how everything was structured until I started kind of looking into it. And it is amazing what you guys are doing. And how many people, how many people work in the office there?
There's only 12 of us in the foundation total, and 4 of them are down in the Commons. So.
Yeah, and so it's kind of amazing that this organization is so large, but made up of so many people who are very passionate about the market and are volunteer driven, right?
Yeah.
So, it's just a lot of people that care. And I think we could keep the momentum going this year, especially, sponsoring the recovery efforts, a healthy downtown, and kind of just rounding out, the core of our city and the heart of our city, really.
We love that conversation, and we're anxious for people to jump into that conversation, because it really will take a lot of effort.
Yeah. Good. So the next big one is Sunset Supper, and then after that it will be, it's the anniversary, is that right?
It is the anniversary, so we're expecting to have a premiere to the documentary early before it's airing, and then the Market Fall Festival. And then we have some fun holiday things. Usually there's a festival called Magic in the Market that's kind of the kickoff. And we're really excited about how many people are coming down and how creative we can be in welcoming them. And this market is yours, and we really want the public to engage in that and believe it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Is there any other things you want to touch on about the foundation? I think you did a really good job covering all aspects of it.
No, thank you. We love that people are so invested and encouraging of the market. And 50 years ago, it didn't look like it does now. And it's really heartening that people are so excited and invested in our future, and we're thankful.
Yep. Well, the community is thankful of you. And everyone there at the office too, for keeping things going and dedicating your guys' time and energies and effort into making the the world go round down there. So
Well, thank you.
appreciate your time.
course.
Always lovely checking in. And for those of you who are watching, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We will post Lillian's contact information, where to kind of stay maybe in queue or involved in what different events are coming up, as well as maybe the Insta handle and website as well. So we'll make sure to include all that information.
That's great. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Bye.